Hello and welcome to the podcast where we're a few hours now since Lionel Messi has officially told Barcelona that he wants to leave the club. So I thought I would come on and record something, give a bit of an update on what's actually happening and some thoughts about how it might play out over the next coming days, weeks, months, whatever length of time this drags on for. So obviously, we've said, is the big news was that Messi has supposedly been thinking about his future after Barcelona's capitulation, really, in the Champions League last week. 8-2 against Bayern Munich. It was obviously a shock result, and I think it was a bit sort of the kick that the club at Barcelona and the players and everybody involved at the club needed to realise that as things weren't going well. Obviously, it's been going on for a couple of years now that things haven't been going too good, but they've been sort of still managing to win La Liga titles and Copa del Rey's and stuff, and mask over the problems, which obviously were evident whenever they get the humiliating defeats in the Champions League over recent seasons, where obviously there was the Liverpool, Roma, the first game against PSG, and then Juve, where they were defeated, and they were defeated heavily, which for a club of Barcelona's stature and with players like Messi, it's not really good enough. The team have been getting older, and finally, then after the Bayern Munich defeat, it was decided that it seems there was going to be changes at the club, and Koeman's come in. And he's been telling players that he didn't want certain players. I understand Suarez, Vidal, Rakitic are among the players that have been told that they weren't wanted. Koeman is believed to have told Messi that he was wanted, but seemingly that privileges, so to speak, wouldn't be happening, which is probably something to do with the sort of line of thought that's been going on over the last couple of years, that Messi has been influencing team selection, signings, basically having more power than any star player should have at the club over the last couple of years. But seemingly this was all going to change. So tonight Messi decided that no, his future wasn't at Barcelona, and he's decided that he wants to move. So the main problem with Messi wanting to move, obviously, is you're looking at it, right. So how is what, in my opinion, is the best player that's ever played the game? He might be 33 years old now, but he's still at the best. If he's not the best player in the world, still he's way up 2-3 in the list. And in my opinion, on his day, he still is number one. But obviously, a player like that's going to have a big fee. Now, the problem with Barcelona have had this contract with Messi, where Messi has up until a certain date at the end of each season to tell the club whether he wants to continue at the club or not. And if he decides that he doesn't want to continue at the club, he's available to go for free. So this year has obviously been a bit different, where I believe the contract had to be his opt-out clause. He had to inform the club before the 10th of June that he wanted to opt out. COVID has happened, seasons have been extended, seasons have dragged on, and the next seasons where some countries are already started the next season before the last season's finished. So Messi has basically decided that he wants to leave, and he wants to leave on a free. So naturally Barcelona's not going to be happy with that. They want money for him. I think there's a €700 million buyout clause. Obviously, all Spanish league players have the buyout clause, and Messi's is I believe €700 million. Obviously, they're probably not going to get that for a player that wants to leave the club. But as far as they're concerned, they believe that they are entitled to money. Messi believes that because of COVID-19, that the 10th of June date for him to tell the club they wanted to leave wouldn't apply and should be different this year. So naturally, it looks like there's going to be a bit of coming and going over that over the next couple of days and weeks anyway. as I see it, there's a couple of outcomes. One outcome obviously is, but Barcelona's board at the minute's extremely unpopular. They've announced already that there's due to be elections in March next year. Bartomeu, who is the current president, almost certainly won't be coming back, and there's a few guys lined up. So some people are saying that if he were to resign, that Messi might rethink it, which obviously I don't know. That's something that would be Messi's people will know if that's true or not. But at the minute, there's some rumours that he is giving consideration to resigning. Whether that happens or what, we don't know. But I would imagine that with the March date set for elections, it's probably not going to happen, and things will probably just go on as they are with that situation. So that leaves basically the Barcelona board, or the Barcelona board going to just say, right, fair enough, you can leave. I don't think so. I can't see it. They're not very popular. They've made a lot of wrong decisions, but I don't see them as being that just blatantly stupid, particularly whenever it comes to losing money. That they seem to be, a lot of decisions over the last while has been money orientated, which is kind of to do with the model of the club, where it's not like it's somebody that actually owns a club. It's like basically whenever like Barcelona and Real Madrid and Athletic Bilbao, clubs like that in Spain are fan owned, and have socios. So basically, as president and stuff, you're like the custodian for a set amount of years, and you'll be responsible for debts that are occurred during that period. So at the minute, it feels like the current board are basically trying to get themselves on an even keel, so as that the actual money that they're exposed to is reduced whenever their time's up at the end of the sort of second half of next season. Whether some team comes in and then pays some sort of money for Messi, you're obviously looking at a small number of clubs that would be able to do it. Financial fair play obviously is a big hindrance, but then what is financial fair play nowadays? Man City obviously breached all the rules that they could and got kicked out of the Champions League and won their appeal. So I don't think financial fair play as such is going to affect where he lands. I think whenever an opportunity comes to sign a player like Messi, anybody will be happy to try and get him. So I don't feel that financial fair play will hold him back. But then it comes down to just having the hard cold cash to be able to afford a player like Messi. So you're going into a very elite band of clubs there. You're probably talking the two Manchester teams, PSG, dare I say it, Real Madrid, probably Bayern Munich as well. There's obviously other clubs, who might have the funds to fund the deal, but you're probably talking more clubs becoming interested if he somehow finds a way of getting out of his contract, be that having to go to court to do it or not. At the minute, I think the most likely outcome is that this is probably going to become a legal issue, where Messi believes that he should be able to get out of the terms of his contract, which is obviously, as I say, the 10th of June he had to tell Barcelona he wanted to leave by. Barcelona are very much of the opinion that he doesn't need to, he needed to have it done by then, and the fact that the seasons went on doesn't matter. So I think that's probably going to go to court, and that's probably going to drag on any proposed transfer as well. So realistically, I think the only way Messi's going to leave soon is if one of the big hitters comes in with a big offer for Barcelona, which sees the club receive a large amount of money in return for the player, and obviously then they can take that money and save all the hassle and start their rebuild. That then gets into the other problem, where obviously the current board and their current guys are, as I say, extremely unpopular, and to be honest, the job they've done over the last few years has just been very, very questionable. And you're kind of looking at the things, and a lot of the decisions that they do, a lot of the things that they've made don't seem to make sense. So whatever money they would get for Messi, you have to look at that and probably think, what are they actually going to spend that money on, which is a problem then in itself. But as I say, there's very little known about where he might end up and how it might happen at the minute. So from a perspective of Barcelona and moving on after Messi, if it happens now, probably the worst part for the club is with the elections looming next year, and say Barcelona get whatever 100 million or whatever for Messi, you're looking at that kind of price bracket for just to sort of comparing to Ronaldo and what he went to Juventus for. But say they got that, so then the worst part about it is the fact that this current board then have that money, and it was seen whenever Neymar left and went to PSG, they had that big block of money at that time, 220 million, or I think it was 220 million euros, and obviously then the bulk of it obviously went on Ousmane Dembele and Coutinho, who at the very least have been questionable signings. So you worry what Barcelona would do with the money at the minute. The one positive about it happening now is I think it makes it easier for whoever comes in next year, because at some point in the future, as I say, Messi is 33 years old, so at some point in the next couple of years he was always going to leave anyway, be that retiring, be that deciding he wanted to go back home to Argentina, be it he just had enough of the game, or he wanted to try something just in his last year or two. It was always coming within the next sort of 2 to 3 years, say. So if someone come in next summer as a new owner, or not owner, new presidency, new board, you were going to have the difficult situation of having Messi leaving hanging over you. At some point, you knew at some point in the next 6 years, and your tenure as the custodians of the club, you were going to have to deal with this. So if he does go now, and if he does go this summer, and whatever the outcome is, obviously we don't know, and he's the best player in the world, so as a club, Barcelona don't want to lose him. But if he does go, it's not the worst situation for the new board, because they're able to come in with a blank slate and say, right, this is what we're going to do in the next 6 years, take the club forward. This is the things that we need to address. It's not a case of, right, we're going to come in, we're going to throw 2 years at Messi and try to win with him, and then start to rebuild, because purely from their presidency, you're hitting a roadblock in the middle of it. So it's probably good for whoever wins that election next year. But obviously, they're probably looking at it and thinking, what could I have done with Messi? Because they obviously, there's not anybody involved in football as a fan, a player, a manager, boardroom that wouldn't want Messi on their team. But it looks like whoever comes into the club next year is not going to get that opportunity. So obviously we'll keep things updated over the next few days. It's a development story, as I say. Even the couple of hours, there's been more and more coming out. Barcelona had a board meeting, they didn't have a board meeting. There's fans outside the stadium at the minute, which is obviously, the socios at Barcelona. It's quite interesting that they're outside the stadium, because a lot of the time they genuinely seem to have quite a conservative attitude to things. They just seem to be content, just to right, we'll go and watch a football team, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of thing that'll get a reaction out of them, which is probably speaks for itself, in the fact that Bartomeu won the election the last time. I think it was 2015. It was just after they won the Champions League. It was that summer, so the club was on a high. They won the treble, and he got returned. He got returned as president, and sort of ever since then, there has been league titles won, there's been cups won, but the Champions League has eluded them, and all the heavy, embarrassing defeats have come in that presidency and that board's life. So it remains to be seen what happens, but for now it doesn't look like it's going to end well for Barcelona fans, who obviously, they want Messi to stay, they want the player to be there, but it looks like things may change in the very near future. But we'll keep this as a development story. I'll come back to you with more information as it happens, and hopefully we'll talk soon. If you've any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll reply to you straight away. Thanks for listening.